Hello, welcome to the 20th episode of my podcast, Open Conversations. I'm your host, Young Bella Sabetwo, and today I'm going to be talking about uh, um, pretty much getting into, talking about, fashion, clothing, brands, and things of that nature, and just give, my insight on, just different clothing lines, different brands that are out, speak on some of my favorite brands and designers and et cetera, et cetera. So just try to, as always, get right into it. So you got Pharrell's Louis Vuitton show recently. Um, that happened not too long ago in the Fashion Week in Paris. A lot of major um, celebs or famous people, whatever, showed up to the event, and it was definitely a great show, in my opinion. Pharrell, who's definitely one of my biggest inspirations, designers, artists, creatives, debatably my favorite of all time. I could say he's my favorite designer of all time. We're gonna go have a conversation about, you know, you know, between him and and another creative and artist that I'm very fond of in terms of who my favorites later on in the show. But back to Pharrell, he he had a very great show. Saw a lot of dope pieces that he had. I think kind of like from what I got, the theme for a lot of the pieces were very almost like it really want to cuss like monochrome or just it was like not even monochrome but pixelated, like a lot of the pieces like the suit that he had on and just other different pieces, and it was like the pixelated kind of thing where it was like um it somewhat looked kind of camouflage in some sense, but it was the pixelated, I could tell. um it's like the suit was like part of it was green, black, and all different type of pixels of certain colors, and I thought it was pretty dope. I think it was very unique. You usually see that type of stuff like on computers type of thing, but he put it in like clothing. So to me, that always speaks to Pharrell's just unique sense of style, which is something that I've been has have admired throughout my life, and him, and just seeing his style growing up, especially I grew up in you know Baltimore. I born in Baltimore area, moved to Largo, Prince George's County area, um, and you know it was DMV, and Pharrell, he's from Virginia Beach area, and I got to see him kind of arise, um, back to from the fronting days, and seeing his style has always been unique. But his the pieces was great. Um, he had some, he had a Pusha T and Malice, the clips. Another, nostalgia. That was like my duo. You know, the Clips and Pharrell. Growing up, I was a huge fan of that whole dynamic and what they were doing in Virginia. I was a big fan. I got to see it, back, in the day, so to speak. But they walked the runway. Had different other people, notable people that walked the runway that I not come necessarily coming to mind. But I said dope pieces. I think Pharrell did a really good job with being, you know, the successor of the late great Virgil Abloh in terms of, being appointed the creative designer for Louis Vuitton, one of the most historic and notable brands of all time. Um, to get that kind of appointment and job and responsibility is big time. And it says a lot about your sense of style and, you know, how much such a historic brand like Louis Vuitton will believe that you can take the creative direction and vision for their brand. And, uh, you know, it says a lot. I'm, happy that Pharrell was able to get that job and appointment. Um, both him and uh, Virgil, two, black, African American, how you want to call it, to get such a prestige job, like that's prestigious. People need to that's prestigious, and to have that back to back, like two guys from who really grew up in the hip hop culture, in Virgil and Pharrell, to get to quote unquote get an appointment at a very just nationally, internationally, and European brand, because hip hop is a originally originated, that's a black culture, so to speak. But to get that appointment into that European um, market, and the prestige of the Louis Vuitton brand, it says a lot about their influence, how much they believe that these guys can be influential. And it just says a lot about hip hop and the influence of hip hop, and how hip hop has been such a influence um, all around the world. And so, uh, you know, yeah, I would, it would be a dream, a dream, so to speak. It could happen, but, for me to get a appointment like that, I'd be very, that'd be a good look. I'd be very happy to take on something like that, at some point in time. But that I don't know how much longer that Pharrell is gonna be um, at Louis Vuitton, how much more, you know, how much longer. But I'm definitely looking forward to more shows, more pieces by Pharrell, man, the GOAT. You know what I mean? So yeah. Current favorite clothing lines slash brands. Um, couple brands that I really, fond of, and that I, pick up pieces and, like to wear. One of which would be Online Ceramics. Um, it's a brand that I've been wearing probably like over the past 4 years or so, something like that. Um, I think I came across it on IG, because I don't really recall anybody like informing me about the brand initially, and then I like checked it out, and I like some. I think I would have, if I had to assume, it had to be Instagram. I don't know, but you know that's probably my favorite um outside of my brand, but not but probably one of my favorite brands in the recent years. A lot of dope just their creative vision is really dope. The apparel, like the material on the clothes, is really good. Um, Very creative with you know the designs, and uh, they're they tie dye a lot of the t-shirts and sweaters, and I think like they come out really good. And then they attach the designs on top of the tie dye. And so I got a couple pieces like that, but just overall, they've done some pretty good collaborations, like recently with North Face. I think they did something with Cactus and other brands. They've done some pretty cool collaborations in the recent years. So Online Ceramics, I believe, is that's definitely a brand that I like a lot. No Labels, that's actually my brand. Um, you know, my brand, my clothing line. Um, I like to wear my clothes that I design. It's kind of like, not even kind of, is, the original inspiration for where I design, I design clothes that I think would be dope or I like, and, I try to, you know, sell it, market out to the people uh, to share. But my brand, I definitely like the clothes and pieces that I've designed, and I work with some pretty good manufacturers, so the clothes come out pretty pretty well, pretty comfortable, and I just think that you know my clothes and pieces and my creative vision is very unique to me, which makes it unique because it's not, I'm only one person, so there's nobody else who, necessarily sees everything the way I see it. Um, you know, which has some pros and cons because it's gonna come with some people. It's gonna be some likes and dislikes. Some it might be for some people, may not be for some people. But that's all. Pretty much like the job being artist of some of sorts. Try to be true to your creative expression. So yeah, so No Labels, my brand's parent company. I plan to have different lines under that parent company that I'm going to be opening over the years, moving forward. And so, uh, Who Decides War? That's another brand that I think is dope, by Murder Bravado. He's the creative director and designer of that brand. He had his other, he had a brand before as Bravado, which was really good. He he's always been somebody who, the brand got some very unique pieces. He's always been good with his denim and just his unique expressions that I've seen, very unlike a lot of anything I've ever seen. So yeah, Who Decides War is one. Palace is another brand I've liked for some years now. Since like if I could, my early recallings of it was when in an ASAP Rocky video, was it Multiply, something like that. Um, yeah, and he had a T-shirt, and that was kind of like I think the his phase when he like kind of not even kind of he stopped wearing what's the name of the brand, Hood by Air. Yeah, at a point in time. I know a lot of people could remember when that was like a brand that was very popular at a point in time. ASAP Rocky kind of made it very popular because a lot of people were really influenced by his style then and now, but really because he was just coming out and everything. No, that's not a here nor there. But Palace, that's I like their try signal their brand, um, the logo, how it's designed. Um, it's always been a unique logo in the way that it's designed, and I thought that was always like really unique and creative to me. The way that the palace, the brand logo was designed. Um, and it's overall, it's got some pretty cool pieces um, that I've liked over the years, and I got obviously some pieces, but Palace, and then Rude. That's another brand. My early recallings of that. I had a college roommate who actually introduced to me that brand. That was like in 2014, something like that, 15. Yeah, and yeah, something around that time period. That was like my original, you know, informer of the brand. But it has definitely, you know, grown over the years, and she's pretty, they think you see a lot of you know celebs and famous people influence people wearing it. But I like the brand got some good pieces. Um, you know, I really like Rugi and how he's you know directed that brand. He's done a really good job in my opinion. Mm, I'm not sure if he did a little bit of womenwear, but it's mainly male apparel type thing. But um, the Rude brand got some dope stuff, dope jackets, yeah, dope jackets and things of that nature. But yeah, those would be the some of the brands that I've taken a liking to. favorite favorite clothing designers should be asked of all time. So I'm gonna start off with Kanye West, aka Ye. Um, he you talking about back in earlier now when he had started the brand. If we don't know, he had Pastel. That was Kanye's initial clothing line that he had, and he had some dope pieces in that. That was kind of like a forcing of, obviously where he went with fashion. He definitely uh, him and Pharrell, but especially I say Kanye really um, brought help make hip hop a high end, bring it to the high end in terms of fashion and things of that nature. He's done collaborations with a lot of dope brands. APC. Um, Lee did a Louis Vuitton collab. Um, uh, Obviously Adidas, Nike. Um, he's all of Kanye design collabs in apparel have been really dope. Um, he hasn't, he's dropped like, these, like capsule collection type things, um, for like, albums and things like that. But he hasn't really outright started his own clothing line. Oh, he had the Yeezy, the Yeezy collections and apparels. He did have that. Um, but that was his own line. Excuse me, because that wasn't in partnership with Adidas. I don't believe was it. I'm not even sure, but nonetheless, he did um, that was his clothing line. But yeah, he's done great collabs. Um, Especially with um, his footwear. His footwear. He's done great clothes and stuff like that. But most specifically, in my opinion, his footwear collaborations. Um, we talking about with Nike, Louis Vuitton, or even Adidas, obviously. Um, he's he's shown to be super successful, um, and make dope shoes, man. He's made some of the dopest shoes of all time. Uh, and so, yeah, definitely got to put Kanye in there. Then I got to go with Pharrell. Pharrell, obviously, with his Louis Vuitton appointment where he's creative directed, a lot of these dope pieces that we have been able to see. Um, and then to his collaborations with Adidas, um, the different sneakers, the Stan Smith collaborations that he was doing at a point in time, uh, apparel, um, Bape, working with Nego, um, uh, et cetera. I mean, he's he's done ice cream billionaires, boys. These are all dope brands that Pharrell has been a part of in terms of the creative direction and design of the clothing and the vision of the brands. And he's been awesome. Uh, Obviously given his sense of style. Um, then I'm gonna have to go with his partner in crime, Nego, who founded Bape, one of the most iconic and brands of all time, clothing brands of all time, still to this day, selling pieces. They just had a runway show. But Bape, one of the most iconic brands. And he's done a good job with the Human Made brand. Um, Done collaborations with I think he did a collab with Louis. But just other brands, he's done collaborations, and but you know Nego one of the dopest designs of all time. The Bape hoodie, one of the most iconic hoodies of all time. Um, Funny enough, I don't actually own a Bape hoodie. I never did, but I always wanted one. Never got one, but it's still one of the most iconic uh, hoodies of all time and designs of all time, in my opinion. Then I'm gonna say Raf Simmons, very dope designer, really from Belgium. Uh, Raf Simmons, you know, I think most of America pop culture got familiar with him from the ASAP Rocky name drop, and in pesos. I think that's kind of how From then on, I think pop culture just took wind of Rap Simmons. But myself included, I'm not even gonna. But he had designed, and people were familiar with his brand even before that. You know what I'm saying? Like me, obviously catching wind of Rap Simmons, and obviously kind of doing my own history, research on him and his, designing history. He's been designing, 2000s, 1990s, but from the ones I've looked, dating back then, very, very unique designs, very unique um, pieces he's had. A lot of which kind of, I've seen like people wear it, like maybe people didn't wear it when it was designed, but like people wearing it like now type thing. Um, that's fashion, that's art. Um, People may not necessarily connect or relate to your design early on, but like, it takes time and, you know, sometimes 20, 30, years, you know what I'm saying, before people really like catch wind of your designs. Um, so just kind of shows the visionary, futuristic, and that's kind of how Raf Simons clothes are. It's kind of very uh, edgy in a lot of ways. Um, and so, yeah, Raf Simons, dope designer, you know, especially, when he was doing the Adidas, he did the Adidas collaborations and the sneakers and stuff like that. Yeah. Uh, and Virgil, Virgil Abloh, from Pyrex. That's kind of when I first became familiar with Virgil. When he started his Pyrex brand back in like 2013, 2014, 2012, 2013 type time, 2014, when it was like everybody in like at least pop culture, youth culture in the States, or just really on the internet, was wearing the Pyrex apparel, clothing. I was definitely saw that. Most people, who was there for that. It's like early Instagram days. Yeah, that's like early Instagram, 2013, 2014 time period. But yeah, that's when the whole Pyrex thing was um, was lit. But you know, from there, Virgil went and designed, started off white, uh, a really a dope brand to this day. A lot of great pieces, a lot of just his a very unique perspective um, on clothing and apparel. Um, Off-White is a dope brand. Uh, and seeing that what he was able to accomplish and create in the the limited time that he was physically here to obviously start, and his unfortunate passing. He pumped out a lot of apparel at a high quality rate. It wasn't like Off-White pumps out all this material, but the quality isn't there. You know what I mean? They pump out a lot of material, and the quality is there as well. And so, that just to me shows just how the hard work, the work that Virgil was putting into to the brand, and designing and just staying creative. I mean, I'm a obviously creative designer myself, and I know having the discipline to just keep on creating and pumping. Obviously, it takes a lot, of investment, not just from you as a creative designer, but from outside parties. But what he was able to do, and then have these people really believe in his vision, and people to help and buy his brand, and still to this day says a lot. I think it's a testament to who Virgil Abloh is. Then lastly, I'm gonna have to go with Yohji Yamamoto, Y3, which is a brand that I've took a liking to um, for some years now. But I just really like Yohji and how he's designed, infuse his. I don't know where. I'm not gonna mess it up and say where he's from. If I had to get hypothetical guess, I think he's Japanese, but I'll just say Asian, the Asian, brand and culture, and infused it into his brand, like the ninja culture as well. Like it's infused in the brand, and as well with like athletic wear. He kind of fused all those kind of things, and um, it's really one of my favorite brands. It's a really dope brand. I got the cases, which are one of my favorite shoes. You know, he's done it even to this day. I think they still got their brand deal collaboration with Adidas, um, and so that's you know he's done some I think collab with other brands and stuff, but he's definitely done some very very dope uh, designs, and yeah. Favorite contemporary designers currently. Um, Start off with giving myself a little credit, and go, myself, young Bella. Well, I'm gonna say me. I gotta, give me some kudos and some credit. You know what I'm saying? I personally think I am one of or not even one of. I am my favorite, because that's the thing I said. Not even my music band. I am one of my favorite designers in apparel. I think I have a uh, very unique sense of style, a broad sense of style, open mind sense of style. Um, Obviously, like I grew up in the States, but I have, nationality wise, rooted in Cameroon, so I have, an African sense of style fused with American and, European type, so and just all over, honestly. But that's kind of like been my upbringing for the most part. But like I said, like I'm influenced, as I've gone on from like different cultures all over the world. Asia. I said the OG. Was an Asian designer. It's one of my favorite designers, and so. But yeah, I just think that I have my own unique sense of style, and yeah, I like the pieces that I create, and I like my creative vision and direction. I feel like I'm a designer who is always looking to create something new that the culture hasn't seen, or hasn't it's not in the marketplace yet. And so I try to bring in something new to the marketplace, and you know whether they get it now, or what I'm saying. um I believe it's just a matter of time. You know what I'm saying? That's just my, my opinion. But for those who do, appreciate you, and it's more of that coming. Um, Rugi, like I said, he's the creative designer for Rude. He's a designer that I've you know watched and learned from over the years. Um, seeing his designs, and seeing how he tells his story, you know, he tells his vision um, through his clothing. Uh, to me, I think it's dope. Um, and he's put out good apparel, good as good quality apparel over the years, especially the ones that I've seen and come across. Because I'm very big on quality. I like quality clothes. The design can be cool and that's great and all, but quality matters. To me, and I know for people who do design clothes and things of that nature, you kind of what I mean. But the quality of clothes matter, and I think Rugi has put out good quality clothes. Ev Bravado, um, Murder Bravado. Um, he's another designer that I've been very fond of, and seeing his creative vision over the years has been dope. Um, he's got a very unique sense of style. Um, he has the New York sense of style with his own unique sense of creative vision. I think is dope. Um, he's a guy who I've seen bring pieces that I've never seen other kind of like emulated or seen before, and so I got to give him some credit on that. He's definitely one of those edgy and um, you know a person, trendsetter, so to speak, kind of designer and style, and I really like that about him. Uh, Kirby, Kirby, um, who was designing for Pyre Moss. That's a dope brand. I don't know. I think I don't know what specifically. Maybe he's kind of um, maybe he's working on some new designs. I haven't really seen any new um, apparel from them in recent time, but you know, just historically and what I've seen of him, um, dope brand, dope apparel. Um, he did some good collaborations. I believe it was with Puma or Reebok, one of the two. I believe one of the two brands, and really good collaboration with the sneakers and things of that nature. Uh, I think you know he even with the Pirate Moss, um, he he made some very good. Um, it's like athletic wear type of clothes that I like, um, and I think I'm really looking forward to see him bring out some new pieces and apparel because I haven't seen too much of a reason, but nonetheless, like I said, he's a designer that I like. Um, yeah, Kirby. Then Matthew Williams from Elix. He has his brand Elix that I believe he named after his like daughter, and yeah, very he's brought out some dope pieces and uh, did some collabs with Dior, which were good. I think Nike, but just he's had a really good uh, some good collaborations with brands, and I really like the way his designs and things of that nature. Palace of Supreme, two dope brands, man. I think we talking about both very influential to to street culture, skateboard culture as well. Um, I think um, you know I think from a market standpoint, I think the masses will probably say Supreme, and Supreme is a dope brand. Supreme is I think is probably more known than Palace, but for those who know, their apparel appeals more to streetwear, skateboard culture type, um, at its core and niche. Um, and obviously they've done collabs with other brands and things of that nature. Um, Supreme has, I think, done doper collaborations than Palace. Um, Supreme has some of the dopest collabs in apparel history, uh, in my opinion. Um, I think when it comes to, you know, like I said, I'm a big fan of the Trifert thing with Palace. I think it's such a unique logo. Even Supreme, like their logo is pretty like unique, that. But I like Palace a lot. I like the collaborations they've done, um, the pieces that they've put together. Um, so from an apparel standpoint, I would probably I would wear Palace just on I would probably rock Palace on a apparel basis. And there's no like obviously this is two guys. I like both brands, Palace and Supreme, but I probably would lean towards Palace than Supreme if I had to say. Uh, but like I said, Palace. I mean, it's a Palace. Supreme has some super dope clothes. Um, One of the dopest clothing lines, brands of all time. Um, and so, but I do think Supreme is more known worldwide, and nationally, I think people are more aware of Supreme though. But just on some personal apparel type thing, I'd probably say Palace. Um, Raf Simmons and Rick Owens. Again, dope brands, dope designers. Uh, I would say uh, I like they I think Raf Simmons is more versatile in its creative vision. Um, is more eccentric. I think I mean Rick Owens has some eccentric clothes. Don't get me wrong, and things of that nature. But Rick Owens kind of leans more towards like a black as the theme of the clothes. I think Raph uh, kind of switches it up, has more color to his brand and things of that nature. But Rick has some nice pieces though. It's usually geared towards like a black theme in terms of um, his his vision for his lines, for his pieces. But I think you know he still has some pretty dope pieces nonetheless. And they're all um, unique in a sense. I think he kind of leans more towards the gothic um, kind of sense of style, gothic uh, grime kind of sense of style, which I like in a lot of ways. I think some of it is a little, some of his, especially his like um, some of his runway shows and things of that nature. Like some of it be it'd be extreme. But like I like to wear clothes by piece. I understand the fact that when you're looking at a runway outfit, it's not. This is likely not how this should be wore like on the street. This is just for the sake of the runway. But always had dope pieces. But a Raph, um, I think overall I prefer Raph Simmons style in terms of his pieces. Um, I do think uh, Rick Owens has the better footwear in the Adidas collaboration. But when you're talking about apparel, I would probably prefer Raph Simmons. Um, so yeah, two dope designers and brand. Louis Vuitton or Gucci. Um, Again, two unique historic brands. I think you start off with Louis Vuitton, the monochrome, the LV, you know what I'm saying? Probably the most how can I, maybe uh notable, iconic kind of like brand emblem type of thing that I've seen in the the fashion space style or whatever. Um, you know, Louis just has some really dope pieces, and even with the motif with the LV, throughout the clothes, even throughout the years, it never gets old to me. Um, it just kind of, speaks to the Louis Vuitton, you know, sense of style. That's Louis Vuitton, and I think that you know their vision and the pieces that they've made over the years, it's always been high scale, and the quality is always been great. When you talk about Gucci, one of the super dope pieces throughout the years, the cultural iconic and influence Gucci has had. You know, these both, people always want to knock. I think Gucci gets a lot of flat culture. Just like a lot of times, oh, I'm not gonna buy. Gucci's a dope brand, man. They got dope pieces. Yes, the clothes are expensive, but you know, if you're somebody who had the funds to buy it, you buy it. Because it has dope clothes, and apparel and products. And I recently they had Alexandre Michel as the creative director for their brand, and he definitely helped design and some of the dopest pieces that I've seen. Gucci and the Gucci brand. Um, but I would prefer Louis Vuitton. Uh, like I said, this is Gucci. Super dope. You know, you can't quote unquote go wrong with Gucci or whatever. Um, Super dope brand, but LV, you know what I mean? I think it just kind of speaks to a certain standard. Not to say Gucci doesn't, but Louis V, is really the staple brand. I mean, throughout fashion. And that's like the most prestigious uh, clothing brand in the world, to be quite frank. Probably second to like Gucci. But these are probably the two um, influential brands throughout the world. That's why I've obviously mentioned these two, in topic. But yeah, these are two of the most influential brands, and so um, but yeah, I think Louis Vuitton is the brand that I would prefer, and I would go with. You know, who's been more influential in style/fashion between Pharrell and Kanye? Um, Two of my favorites. You know, I just designers, creatives, artists. Probably my two favorites of all time. If I had to put everything in a nutshell, uh, a lot of my sense of style and fashion I have learned and got from these two guys. Super inspirational, influential to me as an individual throughout my life. So it's definitely no knock on either these two guys. I'm never gonna knock either of these two guys. These guys are major inspirations. They're part of a big reason why I'm in the music, into creating music, into creating clothes and apparel and things of that nature. So these are my two goats. You know, but you know, I see for the sake of this conversation that gonna have and debate and topic in terms of style and fashion between Pharrell and Kanye. Um, I think Kanye has been more influential in footwear. Even despite the you know since the separation with Adidas, I don't know if it's been about almost a year now. Um, but you still see people with Adidas, the Yeezys and the Yeezy foam runners and all that. Kanye really hasn't been outside like that, which is really just being seen on Instagram nowadays. Like, people don't really live real lives no more like that. I do, but that's just the common terminology nowadays. But anyway, um, with the footwear, and then people's sense of style, or like what people wear, like their outfits. This is actually sense style is the topic conversation. But what people decide to wear, I think um, Kanye has been more influential in that space. Not to say Pharrell hasn't, because obviously, Pharrell has been an influence to what my style of dress, and I know many other people as well. But we're talking about for the sake of this conversation. So I think Kanye fits more in that lane, and that he's been more influential in footwear, uh, and just people's outfits and things like that. Now we're talking about retail. I think Pharrell's been more influential, and that's starts to obviously Kanye, who's been super influenced in retail. Um, he's actually probably been more um, sold more. He's probably the most highest resale artist in terms of his product of any other artist, including Pharrell. But in terms of retail, I say Pharrell. Um, and this, in some ways, it kind of has to do with people's personalities. But hey, it is, personality is part of you, is who you are. It's part of your style, your fashion. Um, Pharrell has managed to, maintain collaborations with Adidas. He just recently got appointed with Louis Vuitton, obviously with creative director, Bate, um, Human Made, etc., etc. Pharrell's all over the retail space, and all over the culture, and all over all major spaces of influence and culture, and style, fashion in the retail space, even more than in ways Kanye, in my opinion. Um, and so that's why I think Pharrell, if you had to compare the two, obviously these two are influential in both of these the discussions I made. But um, you know, between the sake of conversation, the two, Pharrell's more influential in that space, um, in my opinion. Uh, um, it's you know, Kanye's influence is usually a lot more in your face and louder, because um, Kanye's energies, he's very energetic and very just he wants to express himself, and but Pharrell is a lot more chill, laid back, calmer, and just kind of so his sense of style doesn't get as amplified, so to speak. But if you were to pay attention and really look and see what people are wearing and see the influences, Pharrell has had, not just in, because, just culture, style, music, clothing, apparel, everything. Pharrell has influenced everybody, every artist, you know, in all spaces. If you two were to pay attention to his work and what he does, um, yeah, I think Pharrell um, is the goat, man. He's the goat, man. Kanye's the goat, but you even ask Kanye a lot of what Kanye, you look, I'm a historian with these two guys. You look at when they start out early in the early 2000s. A lot of Kanye kind of you know started wearing the because Nego can't he had reached out to Pharrell. Pharrell was like really helped with launching, helping Nego with the brand with Bape, and over the years Kanye started wearing the Bape brand, and kind of being influenced to um, Pharrell's style of dress and things of that nature. So Pharrell's to me overall, I think Pharrell has been more influential in the style and fashion space. But that's my opinion overall. Whose style has been more influential between Travis Scott or ASAP Rocky? Pretty Flacco. But uh, two probably like the modern my generation. Well, like Pharrell and Kanye was like the older generations, like styling, like my generation up, like styling influence grew, and obviously including myself, but more immediate to my age group, I would say Travis Scott and ASAP Rocky fit that bill in terms of just influence and like style and fashion, just culturally. These are two figures that have been very influential throughout the culture and just kind of how they move and dress and style and do things, et cetera, et cetera. Um, these two, I think, have been very influential. And um, early on, it's like, it's always been like a narrative of like, Travis Scott's trying to be like ASAP Rocky and all these kind of things. And I never really got that immediately from Travis Scott's, style. I think he's influenced just like many of us who have been influenced by ASAP Rocky. But and I think ASAP Rocky to a degree has been influenced by Travis Scott. But I don't, I don't know, but I think likely so. But I don't know. But you know, I think the two, mainly just due to them being dark skinned braids and that whole kind of thing. I think that's where people usually get kind of like mixed up. But very different styles, really. Very unique. They, especially when you speak on like think about like musically, their styles are very different actually from a music standpoint. Uh, you know, but both been very influential in style and fashion, and I think Travis has been more impactful and influential musically than ASAP Rocky. Not to discredit ASAP Rocky's influence music because he's one of the major influences of this generation and my generation musically and his sound and style, all that kind of things. Not to discredit him, but obviously for the sake of conversation, I think Travis has been more influential in his music sound and things of that nature. Um, but I think when it comes to style of dress and things of that nature, what's cool, the trends, specifically from clothing and, stuff like that, how, people are dressing. I think ASAP Rocky's been more influential in that aspect. Again, not to take away from Travis, because he's been highly influential in that space too, especially with the Jordan collaborations and with the sneakers and just his. I remember when he was doing the Astro World apparel, the Astro World merch. Very, very, very dope and influential. A lot of people was rocking the joint. And just, learning from his style of dress, I've seen a lot of people, you know, be influenced by Travis Scott's sense of style in terms of his dressing style. But I definitely would say ASAP Rocky overall has had a bit more of an influence. Um, just kind of what he's been able to do with merging a lot of just streetwear culture brands with, European high end, brands, so to speak, whatever. Just merging cultures and just making certain brands like people wearing it and people, just informing people of new brands and stuff like that. I think ASAP Rocky's been one of the, you know, very, very pivotal in that aspect. He's definitely, you know, gotten a lot of people to wear just new brands that he's kind of like starting to wear and rock and stuff like that. A lot of people um, tend to, from what I've seen, like, copy or follow, and so that's how I say, um, you know, ASAP Rocky's been more influential, but nonetheless, man, these guys are very influential artists, and um, overall, I mean, if I had to say, I think to date, I think as an overall creative and artist, I think at a point in time, I think if you were to go back maybe like 6, 7 years ago, um, probably I would say ASAP Rocky, but I think currently I would say Travis is probably more influential uh, at this moment uh, in time in the culture. I think I'd probably say Travis Scott. Most common slash popular brands I see people wearing. Um, Nike, just, Nike, that's a staple brand, culture in, not just in America all over, but, Nike apparel is all throughout the streets and, um, whether it's shoes, athletic wear, casual, whatever. Um, then I would say uh, Under Armour. Under Armour has been another brand. Another brand. I think Under Armour has came to the forefront in a lot of ways, mainly due to Steph Curry's influence. That's just my opinion, and I think Steph Curry has really raised the stock of the Under Armour brand. But I see a lot of people, rocking it, and the athletic wear and just, you know, everyday kind of thing. Um, Adidas, you know, still even with the Yeezy, uh, collaborations, whether it's the runners or just Yeezy shoes and just Adidas apparel and products. See it throughout the streets and see when I go out. Um, then Gymshark. Gymshark's another brand I've seen a lot of people wear. Um, I really like their logo, pretty unique, and with the shark and all that, I think it's dope. But yeah, that's another brand I see a lot of people wearing. And then lastly, you're lovely. Everybody, all the females wearing the Lululemon. You know, see that everywhere. Um, Lululemon's got, you know, I admire like color, the choices for the color for their clothes. I think is pretty dope. But yeah, those will probably be what I'm seeing mostly people wear on the market um, currently in this day and age. And you know, in due time, it's gonna be no labels. And my future lines and apparels that I have planned, that I have um, cooking up for y'all, for the world to see and wear, and you know. So, but nonetheless, yeah, that's what I see people wear. So, yep, that's just some more stand of the 20th episode. Um, Looking forward to the next episode. Definitely gonna keep you guys um, informed of what I'm doing and just what I'm talking about. It's been some time. Um, had some issues with the laptop. Got it fixed, and so we back on board. And so, yeah, man.